YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back on Total War Rome 2. And before we get to the end of the video and you all remind me how there's some robot noise in there, I have seen your comments. I have no idea what's causing the robot noise. Some of you would be like, well, it's probably your new microphone. It could be, but the weird thing about that is that whenever I listen to the raw video file before I upload it to YouTube, that noise isn't there. So if it is the microphone, I don't know how it's not in the one and being thrown in there on YouTube, but it almost does seem like it popped up around the same time. So any explanation you think you have might be interesting. Otherwise, I'll do some tweaking on the microphone over time and kind of see what we can get. But just a little bit of robot sound on the end. No, I'm not the heir of Skynet, as someone suggested. And I won't be out trying to enslave the human race or anything like that. At least not yet. Just kidding. So this was a Rome versus Seleucid match, actually. My opponent brought it's just like 6 pikes and a bunch of cav. Wasn't really expecting that from the Seleucids. I did expect the armored elephants. Though I find armored elephants to actually be not too bad to deal with. They can still be a devastating force on the battlefield, but I feel like it's a lot more clear how to stop them. A lot of sword units, even stuff like Thurio spears, throwing their javelins along with other ones. They're easier to run amok, which some people really hate, but I actually kind of like it, because it means if you're going to use elephants as the devastating force, you can't be as sloppy with them anymore. You've got to be able to bring them in once you've secured the proper strategy of pinning down enemy units that might oppose you there. So it does make it more challenging. Are they too easy to kill? Some would say yes, I would say no. I don't really know yet, we haven't played enough in the game. But in any case, let's take a look at my army. I've got 6 legionaries, I've got 3 auxiliary Syrian archers, 2 levies, 1 Praetorian guard, general bodyguard. I've got 2 auxiliary cav and an Numidian cav on each, a Saki Equite, an auxiliary cav, and a Numidian cav on each flank. My opponent, as you saw, was just 6 thorax pikes. He's got his armored elephants, and then from a cav contingent over here, he's got 2 Median cav, and then Hellenic Cataphract, and then over here he's got an Ozit Knight, a Hellenic Cataphract, and another Median cav. So he definitely has a cav supremacy. Rome is not very good with cavalry anymore. Auxiliary cav is not bad, and Saki Equites are okay for the price you pay for them, but just don't expect these guys to be winning like a knockdown, drag-out fight with other cavalry. You can bring shot cavalry with Rome too. It's not particularly good shot cav, but it's still handy for rear-charging infantry. It's just not gonna, I mean, sometimes you just have to make it worth it. That's the only thing with shot cav. It doesn't matter whether you're Rome or another faction. When you bring shot cav, cataphracts are actually pretty good to throw into a cav fight, especially if you get a charge, just because they're so hard for other stuff to kill. I find other shot cavalry, honestly, to just be mostly useful against infantry. It's not to say it's not useful in a cav fight. I just find it to be most useful against infantry. And you'll see in the upcoming videos kind of how I like to use shot cav right now. That could change, though, as I see tactics and other stuff in the game change. So the problem that I'm having right now is I don't know how to deal with my opponent's cavalry threat. I considered bringing spears. I decided against it. And now I'm kind of stuck with the, well, what do I do? I don't really have a great way to support the cav fight. My opponent is actually pushing me with pikes, which is not particularly common. A lot of people with pikes like to camp, but he didn't bring any skirmishers, so he's left with no choice but to push me. Here you're going to see my my legions unload their pilla onto the pikemen. Surprisingly, only 1 kill against pikemen. These guys have been armored up. I'm getting a few more kills over here, but anyway, let's go into play. My opponent does catch me off guard with this cav here, which was really bad, but I do pull off an infantry unit to start to support. Over here, I did a little bit better, and then I have my Jav cav behind his cavalry. And then I'm going to support my cav fights with levies. In the center, he goes ahead and starts to engage me, and all I'm going to do is just pull back and keep trying to force him forward and create a gap in his lines. My opponent's pikes, though, he's actually doing a pretty good job trying to move them into position right now. And I can't tell if he has them in formation attack or not. Yeah, in any case, he's pushing and he's going to bring his elephants here. Now, let me show you this just real quick. I'm going to go into slow motion again. Actually, I'm going to pause it just momentarily. Look at this. He's got me pinned down right here with this cavalry, which is great. And he's got infantry gaps here, but I mean, you can see where he's bringing his elephants. He's bringing his elephants straight into my Syrian archers, and also my Romans still have javelins left. So this is not a good use of elephants, in my opinion. what he should have done, since he had such a cav supremacy, see how he commits all 3 of his cav units over here against my only 2 cavalry units? He needed to keep 1 of his cav units free, come around here and distract my skirmishers, then it would be okay. But even still, you have to worry about getting a pilla thrown at you head on. So what it would have been best to do is to get a cav unit around, and then bring the elephants around with them, or through another gap where I'm not expecting it. And I'll go ahead and hit play just so you can see what happens. But you can see they're already under archer fire, and look how I have legionnaires ready, or legions, legionaries, whatever you want me to call them. So here comes a hail of javelins as well as arrows. It runs his elephants amok, and they're actually all over the top of his pikemen, so his pikemen are going to get squished in the process, and then I can easily drive them back. So there was way too many missiles in this vicinity for him to bring his elephants headlong into that. He really needed to have my units pinned better before he brings the elephants, and he had the capability to do it because he outnumbered me in cavalry as well as outmatching me. So I mean, I just think that that's a better way to use the elephants here. Another thing you could do is he could have brought a pipeline, brought less expensive cavalry and just more of it, along with maybe trading one of those cav for, like, say, 2 Thurio spears. And he could have used his Thurio spears either 1 to pin down my cav, or 2 to move around my cavalry and pin some of this infantry so that I couldn't throw those javelins. And again, a light cav or something could have come around and pinned my archers in a ball while they were balled up back here, and prevented me from shooting his elephants. All of this would have allowed them to be a lot more effective. But other than that, you can see that I was able to get free of the threat of his elephants, and now that it's kind of a broken up fight, my Romans have the opportunity to prevail. You can see here I'm already behind these pikemen, cutting them down with the Praetorian Guard. Over here, he still had me pinned, and I was finishing his cav, so I'll pull away from this now, as you can see. He's chasing me with pikes elsewhere, and again, all I have to do is walk around them. Pikes are definitely stronger in this patch because they have more defense and they're a little more resistant to missiles, but they're not stronger in the sense that they kill a whole lot faster. See how long these legionaries have been left in this fight over here, and it still takes that long even with pikes on their flank. Between the pikes and the Ozit Knights, took them a really long time to kill my men. His men were spread a little too thin here, so my legion's actually able to split down the center of them. And again, I can just keep retreating and reforming, and eventually his pikes will break up. So they're still not an offensive weapon. They're better. They're definitely, I think, more usable than they were in the past. Pike boxes are actually fairly dangerous right now as well. Anyway, I won't stay on the screen for too long because apparently I'm going to sound like a robot right now. But you can see the results there. I think my opponent's army composition should have just been a little more varied instead of just like cav and pikes. He needed some support units. You know, just even a couple of cheaper infantry like Thurio spears or something would have helped him out. Not sure that it's the best combination to go with pikes with no skirmish support. So that's just an opinion on my part, but just throwing that out there. You can see that my archers actually leveled up from so few kills, and you might be wondering why that is. It's because they killed something that was so expensive. So anyway, hopefully you all enjoyed this. I think my opponent probably should have watched his decision making on the army choice a little bit there, and then been a little more careful with how he engaged his elephants, and it probably would have played out a lot better for him there because my cavalry was really quite bad. Hope y'all enjoyed it. HeirofCarthage signing off for now.